Well, Dragon Folk, it looks like Wizards of the Coast is actually feeling the repercussions of their super big push of all this product. And now we're seeing a pretty big loss in their earnings this year. Welcome on in, Dragon Folk. I hope you are all having a fantastic day. I know I am. And today we're actually going to be talking about something that is, you're probably going to see a lot of videos on this from many different creators about the earnings that Hasbro has reported as of Q3. So looking over a lot of this, this report earnings statement, right? Essentially, well, it's come to bite them in the butt. Finally, right? Hasbro has, had acquired Wizards of the Coast a little while ago, right? Pretty much a long while ago. I don't actually remember the year off the top of my head, but I think it was sometime in the late 2010s, somewhere along that line. And in doing so, they had acquired one of literally the biggest trading card game to date, with the most players, the most product. I mean, it was a monopoly of, like, we're going to take this game that everybody likes, and we're a game company. People are going to like us having a game, and we're going to continue to push sales. Now, from what was shown, there are several things that, on top of the Hasbro earnings report that showed I think it said it was like a 16% loss or something over this quarter in total revenue. They did also claim that the Wizards of the Coast division, just Wizards of the Coast alone, so anything that Wizards makes, such as Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, etc., those all are, it's a $1 billion portion of Hasbro. It is the largest moneymaker that Hasbro has to date. And from the looks of it, if I'm reading the stats right, makes up almost 90 to 95% of the sales of Hasbro entirely. And so that's a pretty big deal. I mean, Hasbro is essentially nothing, right? If anything, Wizards of the Coast should own Hasbro at this rate. You know what I mean? But obviously contracts and other nonsense, that's, to do with whatever. But Hasbro named Wizards of the Coast their first $1 billion little section of their world, right? They've been making $1 billion, which is insane to me, right? $1 billion, but they're also at a loss, a record loss at that this quarter. Now, we're going to talk about the actual reasons why they're at loss, and we're going to talk about something that the CEO of Hasbro himself actually had brought up in regards to all of you, including myself. The unfortunate thing is that Wizards of the Coast is owned by Hasbro, right? And a lot of different things are brought from the head of the household all the way down to the pedestals that everybody stands on, and all these workers who are doing their due diligence and pumping out art for this company and pumping out new product and pumping out QA stuff and so on and so forth, and it being a big deal. But what is an issue is that it's not making them enough money. All of this product that has come out in this past year alone, even with all the product that has been going on and the 4-time high price increase due to all this inflation, the largest price increase that Wizards of the Coast has ever seen on their product. And they have seen price increases on their product over the years. It's general inflation, but this time it's like a lot. You're talking a lot of money. The issue here is, according to the CEO of Hasbro, is that there is price sensitivity amongst customers and consumers, I guess is really the word that should be used, consumers. There's price sensitivity amongst consumers. You know what that means in layman's terms? That means that the people who are buying the product no longer want to or can buy the product at a regular interval like they were before. And this comes down to exactly the next issue as to why they lost 16% of their revenue over time, is because they have, and as they say, too much inventory. They have too much inventory sitting in a warehouse and somewhere probably, and it is holding back a lot of sales. And this is where everything kind of drives together, right? This is where the chain begins and ends, right? You start with Wizards of the Coast and you end with consumer, right? Like that's where your little gap is, right? So nobody's buying product. And the reason nobody's buying product is because, well, frankly, the product is not QA'd properly. The amount of product being sold at a time is super insane. Speaking of the amount of product sold insane, I came across a little diagram just earlier today before all this announcement came out. And I'm going to go ahead and share it on the screen here. This essentially shows that back in 1993, there were 5 products that were sold in 93, right? That's Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, Arabian Nights, and Collector's Edition. And I'm pretty sure Collector's Edition came out literally like December of 93 or beginning of 94, but I don't know why they still count it there. So they came out with 5 things. One of those things being collector specific. So if you really want to consider it, they came out with 4 products, Arabian Nights and ABU. 4 things in 93. 4. Then if you look at 94, they've got, 5? They came out with a whopping 6 sets, right? 6. They went from 4 to 6. And obviously, they're trying to find their footing. Their game is still very new. They're working on it, so on and so forth. And things have just kind of, it's working out in their favor. People are buying their product. People are enjoying the game. It's probably like one of the only TCGs available at the time that's like actually genuinely good. I'm sure there are some people right around 94 who are trying to pick up on the idea and make one themselves. But you get the point. Because if you look all the way down to the right side of this diagram, you will see how much product has been pushed out pretty much since 2012, right? You were getting a pretty steady 6 sets a year back before the 2000s. And it really showed with, the quality of the product, the care of the product. Obviously, you have things like Homelands and what the heck is that other one? Fallen Empires. Those obviously were flops in the regards of the community, but it wasn't enough for the company to go under. You know what I mean? There are always things. Chronicles, right? There's always something that's just like, oh, the company might go under, right? Everybody freaks out and they're like, this might be the case. But I think this is the first time you're really seeing in perspective how much stuff is being shoved down your throat in every avenue possible to make a dollar, to squeeze that dollar out of you, the consumer. So what I mean here is if you look all the way down to the right, you'll see that, and if I counted correctly, I'm not currently looking at it actually on the screen when I am, talking to you, but I believe they came out with 22 different products in this year alone, including the Jumpstart 2022 and the Brothers War, on top of also 48 plus secret layers in just this year alone. That is almost 100 different kinds of products. Now, if you look at the key, right, the legend down there, some of those products are digital. Some of those products are commander specific. Some of those products are promo specific. You have all of that stuff. But altogether, almost 100 products have been released for Magic the Gathering alone in 2022. You went from 6 at most sets at most a year, and have now gotten to the point where you are just steamrolling into hundreds of products, and all of them fighting against one another to make a profit. And now we got to talk about that deal, right? There's so much product that, you know, Wizards is just sitting on it, right? That's the whole. Hasbro's just got warehouses full of the product, and what are they going to do, right? What are they going to do with this? They plan, according to their CEO, according to them, they plan to make up their losses in Q4, right? That's the winter, right? Essentially, you know, pretty much right around the holidays. That's Q4. So you are looking at a company now trying to make up for their losses, make up for this problem, right? You have price sensitivity amongst your consumers, which is absolutely ridiculous. You have almost 100 products being pushed down people's throats on a regular basis, and you're claiming that your consumer base is now finally thinking for themselves. And that's why you're seeing a loss in sales, right? That's why. Because your consumers look at things like Baldur's Gate. You know, they look at things like Double Masters 2022. If you bought nothing in 2022 besides Double Masters 2022, you'd make out like a bandit. You'd probably still have a whole lot of money. But all this other product, all these other people who are willing to purchase everything that comes out, they always need to be part of that new thing. It's always just, you know, whatever advertisement they can throw at us. It's such a big push to buy this product. But you see all the failures that they've had this year. They've had failures on advertising for Double Masters 2022 for the draft boxes. They've had failures in advertising for several of their products. On top of it, they've also ruined themselves in production, right? Just production alone, 48 plus secret layers. You know how long it takes for you to get to secret layers? Matter of fact, let's talk about the Heads I Win Tails You Lose deck. Oh, that's right. The Heads I Win Tails You Lose deck that everybody ordered 2 years ago and is now just finally getting their hands on. Maybe. It's supposed to ship soon. And then you have the secret layer for the 30th anniversary. The secret layer for the 30th anniversary was supposed to be shipped already, and it isn't. There's no shipping date. There's no date now. They just went, well, forget about it, right? We just won't. If we don't tell them there's a date, they won't expect something by a certain date. So on top of all their production issues of being able to essentially utilize these printers to pump out hundreds of products all within a matter of a year, while still keeping up with, you know, the pricing all your stuff out and making sure that your price is corrected, making sure you're still making a profit over the year, making sure you're still getting to the customer base, making sure you still have relations with your LGS, which, let's be honest, nobody does, because now they're going to have to liquidate a whole bunch of product from these warehouses. You know what that means? Yeah, you remember that Amazon sale that happened about a week ago? That you had Innistrad Midnight Hunt draft boxes for $56. You had AFR set boxes for $75. You had Midnight Hunt and Crimson Vow collector booster boxes going for $89 a piece. All of these products, all of them, every single one, lower than what a LGS would purchase from a distributor. That means that at this point, you should only be buying Magic from Amazon, right? If you don't buy any Magic now and you allow Wizards to take a loss in its profits and have to sit on a whole bunch of inventory, then when they flash sale it all on Amazon for literally half the cost somebody would purchase at a distributor rate, everybody, the LGS can get them for cheaper, you can get them for cheaper, collectors can get them for cheaper, investors can get them for cheaper. Everybody can get these things for cheaper. Now, what is that going to do to their future is really the question, right? When these things become out of print, what are we going to see? If these are all flash sold and there's hundreds of thousands of boxes that get sold on the market and Amazon at literally half the cost of what it was going at pre-sale, then what do you get? right? You probably get a really low price on those boxes for many years to come. I'm talking like Return to Ravnica level stuff. But who cares? You're getting boxes at cheaper than you would ever be able to buy them anywhere else. And it's simply because you didn't buy product. You didn't buy product then, so now you're waiting a year for them to go, oh man, why do we lose money? Oh, because we're pushing out a whole bunch of product and it's the middle of a recession, so people don't have money to spend on hobbies. So now nobody's spending any kind of money. It's because the consumers are price sensitive, right? That's just the whole purpose, right? Oh, they're price sensitive. They see a price and they get scared and they don't want to purchase it, so they just hold back. So now we just have all this product sitting in a warehouse and now we have to send this out. This hurts everybody down the line, right? And at this rate, you're not even going to start seeing most LGSs carry this. I don't want to say Magic's going to die, right? Because it's not, right? It's been going for 30 years. The tickets sold out for Magic 30. So obviously people are excited to go and celebrate the 30th anniversary with them. But it's just so it's a weird place to be, because from what I look at, right, I truly think that you have to take a step back and look at what is the change here, right? What made it so that Wizards of the Coast now is pushing out all of this product to get billion-dollar status on Hasbro's end and pretty much be the only branch of Hasbro that's making actual genuine profit? Well, I think Wizards of the Coast is in an abusive relationship with Hasbro. I think that Hasbro has some contractual ties that very well could be making it so Wizards has to work harder, and Hasbro, for some reason, thinks they have the upper end on this. That Hasbro knows how to work a company and work a toy company because they've been around for so long that they know the system. And they know that if you just push out product during a recession, apparently, it's going to get you profit. But it isn't. It isn't. There are so many other CCGs and TCGs that are out there. Flesh and Blood, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, MetaZoo, friggin' Digimon. What are the other ones? Weiss, right? There's so many different ones being brought up on a regular basis. And all of these are looking so much better for mainly the one reason and one reason alone. They're not that expensive to get into, and they are a company that seems to not just care about their profit. You know, I don't know too much about Yu-Gi-Oh! I did play Yu-Gi-Oh!, but I don't know much about the business model of Yu-Gi-Oh!, right? But Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been doing well. There has been no issues on Yu-Gi-Oh!'s end since. They come out with premium product on their store, collector's items for everybody who's a collector of Yu-Gi-Oh! They come out with a new set almost every month and a half, but it's a $60 box with 24 packs in it, and it's affordable. You know, you're guaranteed certain rarities in these boxes. People are opening these cards to obviously make their decks better. People are buying singles. There's still a huge tournament scene for Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, it's just not looking good. It's just not looking good for Wizards of the Coast. And truly, I think, personally, and this is just some tinfoil hat stuff, so obviously, take this with a grain of salt. But I think there's a reason that there was a petition for Hasbro to break from Wizards of the Coast long ago. Right? A petition to break a contract and have Wizards become its own company again. Because back then, Wizards was at least making some pretty quality product and was not all about making crazy cash grabs like the Magic 30th Anniversary Edition. So it's very interesting to see the changes in this, right? I, for one, have even taken a step back in Magic. I don't have the money that one would need to buy even a box a month. And frankly, I think that money would go to better things, such as any kind of savings or investments that is not Magic the Gathering, because, well, this should not be your first priority, is Magic the Gathering. This should be a hobby that you enjoy on your side, but it should not be your main thing, unless, of course, you're, a super successful LGS and you love cardboard, right? This could be your main thing, sure. Maybe even doing what I'm doing and making a YouTube channel based on Magic the Gathering. Sure, this could also pay off. But you should take the time to focus on yourself and your own personal investments in other things that you know will do really, really well. Because right now, Hasbro's not looking too good. And even though Wizards of the Coast hit $1 billion as a status, right? Which is so crazy because we're at the same point, right? This is another thing that a lot of people who are not financially well off, or even who are financially well off, they notice this kind of thing. They go, okay, so this company just hit $1 billion status, right? But why did they have to increase their product for inflation? Why do they have to increase their prices? Why do their prices need to increase if they're $1 billion company? Why did they need to release a product that's worth $1,000 for 4 booster packs of proxy cards if they're making $1 billion, right? Well, that's just because you want more. This is Hasbro's baby at this point. And I would hope that at some point the chokehold stops and that Hasbro can peace out back to the toy company and Wizards of the Coast can continue to truly bring quality product to us at a rate that is not going to drown the entirety of its community. And overall, there's so much scare in prices that at this point, you're going to see distributors no longer necessary, right? If everybody waits, if no LGS purchases product the day of release, which is ridiculous to think about, because why your people are going to, your own players are going to want to get pre-release stuff. You're going to want to get things as soon as they come out, right? You're going to want these cards in your glass case because people are going to come in and people are going to look for them because they're going to want them for their deck. But at this point, you can just wait. If you wait and you just continue to sell older product at your store, that older product that's out of print will at some point sell, I'd imagine. And then you can just go, you can just wait until Amazon does a freaking flash sale and buy a whole bunch of draft booster boxes for $50 a piece. This is going to, if they do what I think they're going to do, and they're going to make a crazy Black Friday sale throughout, the time of Black Friday, which is usually, Thanksgiving through Cyber Monday, essentially. And sometimes at this point, it's all extended to be like a week long. You're going to see these boxes on sale and just flying off the shelves. I'm talking collector boxes for like $75. I'm talking draft boxes for $50. You've got commander decks going for $15 to $20 a piece. They're going to need to do that in order to accrue some of that. And what does that say, right? We always are sad when LGSs sell at a loss, because they shouldn't have to, right? You as an LGS shouldn't have to sell at a loss just because you need to keep up with other people. You can just sit on the product and wait for it to go up in value, and then eventually somebody will buy it. But in this case, Wizards is going to be selling at a loss. And that's kind of hilarious, considering they've been screwing over their LGSs for several years now, claiming that they care about their LGS space and that their communities of LGS out there, their WPN stores. I just think we're all fully aware of the situation at hand here. The community of Magic the Gathering is now willing to take a stand in a way that is very passive and silent, right? A lot of us are up in arms and making content about the dumb things that are happening at Wizards and, consistently telling people about the product that they should buy and the product they shouldn't buy and yada, yada. But I think this is the first time we see a genuine shift in want from Magic the Gathering product. And the more stuff they come out with, the more annoying it gets almost. I mean, I would think that more people, if the Brothers War with its serialized cards was sold at a different time, a lot of people would be pretty excited about it. But I don't know how people really feel. And I don't know how people are even supposed to feel about something like this, because you're not going to be buying collector box after collector box after collector box. They are already seeing a 16% loss in sales. So unless they're going to fire sale off this brand new product, well, you're going to see more losses than sales. And that is bad for LGSs. It's bad for, it's bad for the company. And I do wonder how they're going to accrue this. Obviously, the Magic 30th Anniversary Edition is going to make up a lot of that lost revenue because it is going to sell out, unfortunately, at that $1,000 price point. But I think overall, Wizards of the Coast is not paying attention to its consumers. Right? It's claiming that its consumers are now too poor to want to purchase product. They're too price sensitive. They look at a price and they cringe, right? Or they're hesitant about it. It's not at a price that the players are, or really anybody is willing to buy boxes at. And I think that's agreeable. I don't think that your company should hit $1 billion profit. Well, I don't know if it's really profit. That your company should hit $1 billion status and still sell boxes at markups. I don't think that should be the case. And I don't want everything to go to zero. I don't want every single box to be $60 and for the price of every card to be $1 to $5. I don't want that, right? I want there to be a healthy economy for Magic the Gathering, as I'd imagine most people do. But this isn't it. And it's going to be kind of funny to look back on this in 5 years and look at all the product that people missed out on because the recession, right? Nobody's getting stimulus checks anymore. So there's no money to be put into something like a hobby, which, I don't know why you'd be putting your stimulus money into a hobby anyway. All of these things are no longer factors. And I do also kind of want to chalk a little bit of this up to Wizards working 2 years in the past. I would imagine that in the beginning of 2020, when they made the idea for all of this product to come out and for it to be a very, very profitable time, the Pan Pizza brought out, checks for everybody, and people were able to afford a lot more on a regular basis because they had that extra income available. The people who were on unemployment made more. Most people made more money on their unemployment than they did in their actual job, therefore putting more money into the economy itself. And this caused a big boom in trading card games. It started the whole thing with Pokemon and the Logan Paul thing, and all these people talking about buying their Magic collections and the Power 9 and so on and so forth. It was extreme that this stuff would happen. And now there isn't the case. So I'm also wondering whether or not that is a situation that was brought forth. They saw what was happening in 2020 and they went, well, how do we prevent that from happening? Or how can we capitalize that as the years go on? Because maybe they have some kind of financial analyst there saying that, the Pan Pizza was going to last for 5 years, and that in this massive span of 5 years that, you're going to be able to make a whole boatload of money because there were going to be so many people who were just able to funnel in money to their hobby because they were going to have nothing to do but, sit at home and play games. Now, of course, that's just a tinfoil hat theory. I don't really know whether or not that's accurate. But it is just, it's unfortunate to see. And I do wonder how much of this is Hasbro's fault and how much of this is Wizards' fault. But regardless of whose fault it is, the numbers are there. They're down about 16% in their revenue for this quarter. They will make up that 16% by the crazy sale of the Magic 30th Anniversary Edition, as well as fire selling off a whole bunch of boxes from the Amazon warehouses that these places are stocked in, and making a killing. Because who isn't going to buy a 45% off booster box? Who's going to do that? I mean, regardless of what set it is, right? It could be additional collector's editions of Warhammer 40K for all we know, with the production being so bad and their supply always having such issues with the chain, and there's so much going on, and I feel like Wizards is in just some kind of death spiral. But it's still not a time for you to sell all your Magic cards, okay? Even if this is the case, sure, right? If you want to sell Magic cards so you can prepare yourself for Black Friday, go for it, right? Why not? Their odds of there being a pretty good sale at that point are probably pretty good. But it's all up to the person. There's a lot of people who have a Stockholm Syndrome with Magic the Gathering, or they feel like they've invested too much time into it that they can't leave, right? That this is where they're meant to be and what they're going to continue to do until they can't anymore. And if that's how you want to play out the rest of your life, then great, right? But I think on top of me doing a lot of Magic the Gathering content and still talking about it because I do enjoy the game, I am going to be looking at other CCGs as well, and just chit-chatting about them, right? I may not get as in-depth about these other CCGs as I do Magic, but I will like to talk about them because there are other things with significantly less drama, significantly less prices, and sometimes even a better community. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. This is a very big talking point, and I really am not sure how to handle, I guess, a situation like this. There's definitely a big downfall. You can see the disconnect between the CEO of Hasbro and its consumer base. And frankly, I think Wizards is just continuing to push out more product. And I'm not sure whether or not it's because they want to or because Hasbro wants them to. But again, let me know in the comments down below. And while you're down there leaving that comment, make sure to like the video and also subscribe to the channel as well if you have not already. Looks like we're creeping up on 600 subscribers, so thank you guys so much for that. And before we know it, we'll be at 1,000, so I can't wait. So thank you all again so much. I do truly appreciate it. And I will see you all real soon. Nerd out.